Well, thanks for coming in, bro.
No, I've been looking forward to it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you and I met recently,
Yeah.
but what impressed me was just your hustle. Like you're just
Yeah.
getting after it right now. How long have you even been in the business? Because you're young. You were 28, 29?
Yeah, I just turned 29. Um,
Happy birthday.
thanks. Yeah. I know. I'm like, dude, I'm getting old. But then I'm like, you know what? I have like more horsepower than ever. So whatever, you know, I just gotta
Now's the time to grind.
get a better skincare routine and, you know, no, I'm just kidding.
You
But,
need it out here.
oh yeah, for sure. No, I've officially been licensed since July of 22. So I'll hit 2 years licensed this upcoming July. But I started officially, I guess, in real estate, you could say in February of 2022, doing on the investment side, working with a lot of investors, doing the wholesaling. And
Wholesaling.
so
Okay.
I come from a unique team. It was a large team in 2022. There was a lot of big teams in 2022, really fast-paced market. And it was a little non-traditional in the fact that they did the wholesaling investment side as well as the retail, the listings and helping buyers and whatnot.
Explain wholesaling.
Wholesaling is when you get a property under contract and you sell that contract to the investor and you basically keep the difference on whatever you got it under contract for. So you're not really a lot of times wholesaler investors will use it as like an exit strategy if maybe they go under contract on a property, maybe the numbers just pencil out better to sell the contract and assign it to maybe it's more work than they anticipated because my experience working with investors, they can only do so many flips at once or, sometimes it just makes more financial sense to sell the
Yeah,
contract.
that makes
But
sense. Okay.
I took a step back from that personally just because it didn't align with, I think, being a licensed real estate agent for me. So, I'm not against it by any means. I think it's a great exit strategy for an investor, but
But what a great start for you to get into the industry,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like calls and meeting people and having those realtor conversations. But before we get into that, back up. What were you doing before you got into wholesaling?
Before I got into wholesaling, I was in the car business right under 8 years.
Okay.
So selling cars.
Same
I,
place?
Mostly the same place. I worked at 3 different dealerships, but the one I worked at for the longest period of time was at a used car dealership. So, yeah, great experience there. Loved the business, but always wanted to get into real estate because I fell in love. I read a Grant Cardone book, fell in love with sales, and I was like, dude, I gotta get into real estate. I know there's more money, there's more opportunity, it's more competitive, and really the money is a byproduct of your hard work. That's fine, but I really do love the competitive nature of sales and just I really don't have any hobbies. I just like to work all the time.
Nah, well, that is a hobby.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about it, you have, I can sell a car is
Mm-hmm.
X number of dollars, but then a house is just significantly more. So I
Right.
can just make more per deal.
Right.
So it's more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also an investment, right? One's an investment into a depreciating asset most of the time. Yet that asset gets me somewhere, right? So I can work.
Mm-hmm.
But really, the house is the appreciating asset, especially in our market.
Right. Yeah, I drive a 2007 Prius that I put over 100,000 miles on, and it's made me over $40,000 minus the opportunities it's allowed me to drive to and the sales I was able to,
Right?
create,
It's a good way
having
to look at
that
it.
reliable vehicle. But, I bought it for dirt cheap. So really, yeah, cars are a terrible investment for the most part.
Except
It's
I needed
it's
to
to
get
get
it.
you to point A to point B. Now, obviously, if you have the passive income and the bank is paying you and you can make financial sense of it, that's when I would think it could be, you could go all out and get whatever car you want. But
Yeah.
unless you're just like a car guy and that's your passion.
And look, there are some appreciating cars.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know one, but
Well, and we saw it. We saw in the pandemic with the supply and demand and the chip shortage that they put in the engines. They stopped making cars. Plain and simple. And so when you only have used cars for sales and they're not producing new ones, you can only buy a used car. Therefore, it's more valuable, right? So,
So did you see more sales for yourself during the pandemic?
right after,
Right
after when they opened everything back up and they had allowed people to go out and start doing things again, sales skyrocketed. It was the first time I ever was in the car business where it was a seller's market and not a buyer's market. And so
And rates were
it
low,
was
right?
really interesting. And I honestly, I don't remember what the rates were, but I just knew that it was a complete seller's market for the dealerships. And really, that's the biggest difference. It's like now I represent people instead of a dealership or a corporation. So it's
That's a
interesting. It's
shift.
interesting how my psychology changed.
How so?
I'm less salesy. I don't want to say I'm less salesy. I'm pretty salesy, but in a good way. But I I
Well, rather than having the dealership in mind on the deals, you now have the
I
person
always
in
have the
mind on the
person's best
house.
interest in the deal,
Mm-hmm.
in the deal now. So it's definitely
Feels better.
it feels better. I know I'm doing the right thing, and I'm at a point now where I love to help people, and yeah, the money's great, but that's not why I do it anymore. So
Now, what's your plan? Coming up on 2 years is big because I think that,
hmm
I've been in this now for 20. But as I work with more and more real estate agents, it's the 2 year mark is kind of like the first milestone for me in real estate.
hmm
And I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but I see the agents that make it 2 years, there's probably 90% make it and it's a career for them. It's like getting past that
hmm
first 2 year hump, right? Have you seen that first, now year and a half or so has just been a grind to stay in the game, to get ahead?
Yeah, so great question. So just to backtrack a little bit too, I've actually started production March 17th of 2023. So I just hit a full year of production. Now in 2022, what happened is I was having some financial troubles. I made a very comfortable living selling cars, and I didn't realize how slow real estate money is when you're new and you don't know what you're doing. And it's the first time in my life I kind of had to go through some financial struggles, which in the long run helped me because it helped build some character and even I would say gave me even a better work ethic. And but yeah, my full year of production I just hit this March 17th. Now in 2022, I worked for a month as a licensed agent. I took 4 listings, and because every 20th call you would get a listing. I
Mm.
mean, everyone wanted to sell. Hedge funds were buying homes for
Wow.
$50,000 more than what the home was worth. So it was extremely difficult to work with buyers in 2022.
So you were going after the seller market.
I was going after the seller market. I had to take a step back from real estate. I came back in March 17th
Okay, got it.
of last year. So I don't really count that 1 month. It was good experience for cold calling. I was cold calling before I was licensed, but doing the investment side.
Mm-hmm.
Getting distressed properties under contract, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
You already had that skill going.
And then yeah, I came back and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like impossible to work sellers now. Really, it's not. It's just we're more in a normal market than we were, right? So I'm like, I had to learn the buying side and really enjoyed and fell in love with working buyers. So
Was that are you on a team or solo?
I'm solo.
Okay. And so do you get training through your brokerage or do you seek training elsewhere on how to work with like in that example, man, I got to work with buyers. How did you learn that game?
Yeah, I think I have a lot of experience from car sales that kind of had carried over with a lot of the psychologies, just knowing how to get in front of people. So a lot of people congratulate me on the year that I had. It was a decent year for what you can call my first year in production. Really, they don't see that was like one in every 5, 6 people I got in front of. There's a lot of failure, a lot of meeting with people
Mm-hmm.
that I couldn't sell them on my confidence, or for whatever reason I didn't get the listing, or a lot of buyers that the financing fell through, whatever. So I worked more than what I closed, but it was a great learning experience last year to work that many transactions, whether they closed, they fell through for whatever reason. So
I think you'll always work more than you close.
always, and I think that's just kind of the mind frame you have to be in. Is you always have to take on a lot of business, and you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You need to allocate, any business, not just real estate. You need to allocate for, something falling through or
Mm-hmm.
something happening.
Yeah, a good point you brought up though was the financial
Mhm.
situation, and I always when I have met agents, I'll say people when I meet people that want to become agents and get into the business, I always say, hey, you at least need 6 months of reserves for your what I call survival number, meaning what are you paying in rent or housing, what's the car, what's the gas, what's the cell phone, what's the gym membership, what's the food, what is your budget, right? And if it's $5,000, like cool, then you need to have 30 grand. And whether your parents are going to help you out or you got savings from killing in the car business or whatever, you need that
Right.
because real estate doesn't. I start day one, I'm getting a paycheck in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you got a deal right away, it's not closing for 30 to 60 days. So
Yeah.
there's at least a 2 month gap if you like fell on it or crushed it your first week in business and got a
Right.
deal. You're 2 months from a paycheck. You at least need 2 months of reserves.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say at least have 6 months when you're trying to make that decision. Does that sound like if you had that advice, would that have helped you not to fall into that crisis?
Oh, absolutely. You know, in the car business, and I think in other sales professions, you know, in real estate, you really learn, I think, the concept of money and running a business and knowing that, you know, just because you have a great month, it doesn't mean you go blow all your money, right? And so that was the difference between me, you know, when I was selling cars and me when I'm selling real estate. It's like I lived above my means and I had to go make it back the next month. And I basically committed career suicide. I quit my job cold turkey and went into real estate, right? I still had an expensive apartment, still had an expensive car payment, had a nice car. You know, I was still living a life I was used to,
Right.
thinking, oh, you know, real estate's going to be easy. And it humbled me. And, you know, but I love it. It's a great business. And I believe everything happens for a reason. And I think I went through certain failures to kind of wake me up and build some character. And I'm glad I went through that. You know, what I had. I'm glad I went through what I had to go through because it feels like I can weather any storm now.
Yeah. So what are some of the things you learned from that a new agent that was coming into the market would want to know?
Just that you have to have patience and resilience, and it sounds cold-blooded, but you have to be emotionless, and you have to realize that it's a very emotional process for people, and they're not necessarily, you know, talking to you a certain way to you personally, but just because they're emotional about, you know, their equity or about what they're buying or whatever. It's nothing to do with you personally. So you got to kind of put your emotions aside, and you got to be stoic for your clients and, you know, fulfill their needs. And I think that's what really separates a really good real estate agent from maybe someone that's new, or, you know, there's just some people that aren't cut out for the business. They're just too emotional, and that's okay. But you need to, you know, put your emotions aside and do whatever it takes for your client.
Well,
And
they
so
learn to detach a little bit and say, hey, this isn't
detach.
about you, it's about them, their emotions.
Correct,
And now
yeah.
if you can help them manage those emotions and be calm, and I love the stoic is a great phrase to use, because if you can have that characteristic, that will help you as well. You mentioned treating it like a business. What does that mean for you?
Well, for me, it just means having systems in place and kind of knowing, you know, I'm going to have a set number of deals that are going to close from a certain lead source. Or, you know, for example, now I have the website and the Google ads and the Facebook ads, and you got to kind of play around with that a little bit, and you're going to burn through a little bit of money to learn that side of the business. But it's nice to have avenues you could find that you could, you know, if you work it properly, it's going to result in a certain, you know, amount of deals closed. So that's what you know, having systems and operations and the systems that synergize with each other and working those systems properly and relentlessly. You know, that to me, that's more of a business owner. And then also having money aside for a rainy day. You know, for example, I had to pay for a roof, or I didn't have to, but it would, you know, it was the right thing to do for my client, and something I had even really thought about before, you know, being a newer agent. But I had to step up to the plate, and it was just the right thing to do at the time. And a contractor made a mistake, and it was like, you know, you only have so much time with your business. So the more you can leverage time to create new opportunities, I think is the biggest game changer for me personally. Because, yeah, just you know, taking care of your time and your systems, and, you know, make sure you have everything in place and being ready for whatever comes at you.
Do you now have a personal budget and also a P&L that you like, a P&L for your business and a personal budget for yourself?
I have a P&L like on a Google worksheet, but I'm getting there, and I'm getting more organized by the day. And I don't know if you've ever done the personality test, but I'm very much a driver. And one of the flaws, or one of the personality traits with the driver sometimes, is you're a little too disorganized because you move too fast, and that's me to a T, right? So I'm trying to slow down a little bit and become more organized and do what I call more of the boring stuff, but
don't do too much of that.
Don't do
Meaning
too much of that.
Embrace your driver, right?
Yeah.
To do that, don't ignore it, but better is, can I invest in somebody else
Correct.
to help me with that? Right.
Correct. So I have the best transaction coordinator, and what's great about my brokerage and about my transaction coordinator, it's like, okay, I look at the contract, she looks at it, and then my brokerage does. So it's like triple checked. So it's like that allows me to, not have to, that just puts so much more time back into my day in my business, so that is the best investment to anyone out there wanting to go take on a lot of business. Get a transaction coordinator, leverage your time, and get one that you could work with really well. Like, I love my transaction coordinator.
I tell you, that's a high trust position, right? Because
Yeah.
you went and and hunted and got the meal, right? But then I need someone who's gonna prep it.
Yeah.
Because when I go sit down for dinner, I don't be like, ugh.
Yeah, and she loves it, right? So it's not a question of, it's, yeah, I'll go get the leads, I'll go procure new business, and I'll basically have her help with the paperwork, and we make a great team, and I'm very grateful for her. And I really think that was a huge part of my success and my continued success, is having a great transaction coordinator, really.
Well, I'll tell you, good for you for getting one so early. A lot of people think, well, that's a lot of money. I'm not doing a lot of deals, so why would I pay a portion of my deal? And what happens is they end up ramping up the business, and then when the business closes, because they're helping it close,
Right.
they look back and they're like, wait, I have no more deals in the pipeline, because they weren't working the deals, rather than having that spot in the conveyor belt that they handed off to someone that they know, like, trust, love, does a great job. Really, their personality type is that, like, nurturing those people, taking it to the finish line that you trust. Then you just went, here you go. Let's review the documents together. Cool, good handoff. And then you go right back to, I'm going to go prospect and get some more. And that is not allowed if you're having to run the ball the whole length of the field to the goalpost.
Yeah. I might have a showing an hour away. I don't have time to stop and get one signature, right? So having someone help with all that, definitely is huge.
So you mentioned let's talk about, like, generating leads. So right now you've got the website. I heard you mention that.
Yeah.
Are there any other? You mentioned this weekend you did opens. So is that part of your business for getting leads as well?
I'm gonna implement it where I can. Weekends is usually when a lot of my buyers have time off of work to go look at homes. So I'll either get a showing partner to help show homes, and I'll do the open, or vice versa. I'll always hold open houses for my listings. I think it's a great way to help get your listing sold. And really, the neighborhood, neighbors coming over, people seeing your signs, that's icing on the cake. Really, the strategy is, you get those open houses listed and market them early in the week, and then people save them on Zillow and Redfin and, all the websites, and then they make plans to go see it early on in the week. And so I know that's what happened with one of my opens this last weekend. And so I had a good turnout. So
there's a strategy that you have and a process for the launch.
There's a strategy, and realistically, we're in a really kind of weird market right now. I think, a lot of people are shopping online, as they always do, but, people are kind of just, the feedback, at least I got from my open house, is that they're from Zillow or Redfin or whatever, and those are going to be more interested, right? Especially if you have a niche listing. For example, my listing, it has a workshop mother-in-law suite. So they were obviously coming there to look at that for a reason. So that's a high intent buyer. But regardless, open houses are a great way just to get in front of people and show your confidence in your personality, and just to get to know someone. It's a very intimate relationship when you work with a buyer or a seller. And so right off the bat, you can kind of already see if you guys are a good fit to work with each other.
That's great. Yeah, it's a great kind of.
You could kind of plant a seed, and then you can schedule an interview or a consultation after. And we work so hard relentlessly to get in front of new clients when you can just kind of do it with sitting in an open. And then the double-edged blade is, it's like, well, then now, how do I get my work done? Well, it's obviously you just make that your office,
right?
For the day.
Did you see the similarity here of that's like the dealership? Like, post up at the dealership, people come to the dealership to get a car. You're at a house.
Every
people
time
come to the house.
Oh, definitely. Every time
I go that's your wheelhouse.
Yeah. Every time I go to a builder, I'm like, this is a dealership of houses. That's just a little funny thing I always think of. But no, and there's people. I don't know. There's some psychology where, like, if people just don't have an agent, they just like to go, tour homes without feeling the obligation of working with an agent, which is perfectly fine. So it's a whole separate avenue of buyers that you wouldn't get if you didn't have the opens.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they wouldn't even reach out to an agent to schedule that, and they would just take it off their list. But if
Right.
there's an open, hey, no obligations, I'll just go look at it, and then you go, just like, and really this is one of the problems with this new buyer agency agreement that's going to come to place, in my opinion. There's goods and bads to it, but I think that, you don't sign paperwork before you test drive a car, okay? So you're telling me I have to have someone sign an agency agreement before I can go show them one house? There should be some stipulation. You can at least show like 2 or 3 houses for free without any obligation. What if I don't want to work with that client, and what if they don't want to work with me?
It's a good point.
It's going to get a little messy.
It's a good analogy
But
too.
no, these changes I think are good. So I'm excited to see what happens. And it just blows my mind. We have a lot of people out here complaining about not getting a fixed commission or being able to see it on the MLS. Well, I don't know if agents understand this, but it does say on our license we're licensed salespeople, and in sales you have to negotiate. So it's just mind-boggling to me that you would ever have to complain about negotiating.
Well, and also all commissions are in the price on
Yeah.
any deal, right? So if I
Sure.
go to, Nordstrom's to buy a shirt, everyone that works for Nordstrom's, their pay is in the shirt.
Oh, for sure.
I go to buy the car,
Yeah.
the commissions for whoever does the deal
Mm-hmm.
is in the car, and no
Yeah.
different than the house. So
Yeah.
it's just like when loan officer compensation came out, it's right pocket, left pocket. Like it's where's the money coming from? It's still coming from the house, the
Yeah.
loan, the car, the shirt.
Yeah, for sure.
Same.
And you know what? Most sellers will still want to pay a commission. I had one of my sellers calling me, and she was so upset about the change, and she just wanted to make sure that it was still going to be advertised. She wants to make sure that buyers agents are bringing clients into their listing, and it's a good change. I mean, it's more transparent, and if sellers don't want to pay a buyer's agent, they don't have to, and realistically, they never have had to.
Right.
So it's just good that everyone's on the same page, and we can just get through that conversation easier, if anything.
It's clear communication.
Clear communication.
Yeah.
I mean,
So between website, opens, and then any other legs of your business?
yeah. And one thing on the website, I worked pay per click at the dealership most of my career in the internet
Really?
department. So it's really second nature to me. So it's like,
Did you study that yourself to
no,
learn it?
no, I'm sorry. I just called the leads as a salesperson. I
Okay.
didn't do any of the back end.
So they were doing the back end.
They do the back end. Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
Okay.
So I just was calling the leads, and so it was second nature to me. But it's something I really believe in. If you really sink your teeth into it and you really learn, like, I think it's almost not maybe for like someone new to sales or new to real estate, but if you get a little bit more intermediate, advanced, in your sales career, and you learn how to talk to people and you get good over the phone, the sky's the limit with that.
Because it's a certain skill set.
It's a certain
different.
skill set, and you're not, it's that you're calling, instead of calling homeowners asking if they've had any thought about selling, you're basically getting people that go on your website that have raised their hand and they're saying, hey, I'm looking at a home for one reason or another, right?
Right.
And then it's just your job to find out, and you don't really have to sell them on anything. You could just offer value and kind of be detached from it, and then it's just a numbers game.
Do you find a similarity to when people would come into the dealership, that sales experience, similar to their hitting your website? Like, is your approach to them similar? I'm just trying to find out, hey, what brings you today, or what's your need? I'm trying to uncover their need, right?
It's similar to me in the fact that I always try to schedule the appointment right away, and the reason for that is you're only gonna do so much over the phone. If we get face to face, we can see if we have a real connection here, and I'm really the one to help you with this. And I have a great office, and they come into my office, and it's in this beautiful office we have here in Scottsdale, and they can see that I work for an established company, and it's just kind of an instant credibility factor, and they don't really have to kind of qualify me as much. And then, I don't win every client, but I win most. I love.
But you win more when you're face to face.
You always win more when you're face to face,
Yeah.
and they even feel more obligated to respond to your text and call you back more. When
After
you
you've
guys
met.
meet, because now you guys actually have some sort of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
We all get people that call us, and we're all busy, and we don't even think for a second, hey, that's a real person on the other line. But if they came and met us in person,
Now you know.
and
it's
they're
a
like,
real
hey, I just
person.
want to let you know, you owe like $30 on your credit card, and they're like a really nice person, like, oh, well, maybe I wouldn't be so quick to
Right.
be rude to them over the phone. No, it's just a lot of psychology to it.
Yeah.
We live in such a fast-paced world now. And this is something, like I said, where you have to have an intimate relationship with your agent. And
Now, did you learn the psychology of sales, some of the sales tactics that you use? Did you learn those along the way, or were you taught that, or kind of a combination of both?
a lot of YouTube, a lot of Grant Cardone books. Grant Cardone was the first like sales book I read. I'm not saying I agree with everything with Grant Cardone, but his older books are
Sales book, I mean,
phenomenal. I
for
mean, they're
sure.
life changing. The 10x rule, there's nothing like it. I
Hmm.
personally believe it's one of the best books ever written.
Did you
If
read
you,
Sell or Be Sold?
I wrote Sell or Be Sold. I think those are actually the only two from Grant Cardone
Those
I've
are
read.
great. Yeah.
But those two books are phenomenal, and it changed my psychology on just working harder, and you got to put in more effort to get more results. But guess what? When you get more results, you get more momentum. And it's no longer as exhausting, to make those efforts as it was when you weren't getting the results, right?
Right.
So it's like, don't go through all the pain and not get the reward. Go through all the pain, get the reward, and then it's like, you kind of replenish yourself, you get that momentum and you're ready to go again. So,
Well, and momentum's a funny thing. You look at it like a locomotive coming out of the track, right?
hmm
It's literally in the station on the tracks, ready to go, and it's
hmm
like, and it's really hard. It takes a lot of coal, a lot of fuel
yeah,
to go, but once it's going, it's got the momentum. It just kind of glides.
yeah,
It doesn't take as much fuel. So with your business,
hmm
it's hard getting going, especially in the
yeah,
beginning. Like, man, I gotta get the lead somewhere. It's a bunch of calls. It's really hard work,
hmm
and it's not like the work's just different hard later,
yeah,
right? But in the beginning, then like you said, once you start getting those results, you're kind of cruising. You're at a good pace. You're making a certain number of
hmm
calls. Like you really know your numbers. Like 1 in 20 of the sellers are going to say yes at that
yeah,
point in time. 1 in 5 or 6 of the buy side at this point in time, we're saying yeah. Like you
right,
know your numbers. That's something where I can really keep up the momentum to where
hmm
like you're almost in this flow state of your
yeah,
business versus in the beginning. It's literally a grind, and it's called a grind for a reason.
yeah.
It's a grind.
Yeah, I feel like I went through this like crazy tunnel vision the last year, and now I'm like in the flow state now, and I'm like a little bit more relaxed, not as like crazy. Like that's one thing. I always apply a lot of pressure to myself, and I tell people like I'm living in paranoia, like as a joke, half jokingly though. I'm like living in paranoia until my next deal, but you kind of have to. You kind of always have to have that pressure on yourself, even when times are good. You can't let up. You gotta take relentless actions, high actions to get in front of more people because it's random too. I mean, you might have a month where it's like nothing's hitting, and then all of a sudden, 1 week you have 5 new leads, and then that next week 3 are under contract. So
But
it's
all you
just
were able to control was your actions
your
to get there.
efforts and your actions.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. I like that.
and that's the thing too about real estate. It's like you might have 10 pending 1 month. The next month you might have 2 or 3 or 4. So um, especially with the lag time, some people aren't ready for 2, 3, 4, 12 months. So it's just random, but
So
yeah, you
again,
could.
that goes back to a couple of things. One is your finances. So when you had your 10 month, you didn't
hmm
go say, let's upgrade and get the Rover G Wagon,
Yeah.
whatever, or let's
Oh, I want
let's
to.
go on a
Yeah.
trip.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go on a trip for 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
during the trip, you blew money and didn't make money.
Yeah.
You weren't making any calls. Even if I have some websites and automations in place, I'm still not there to get
Mm.
any of those people face to face with me.
Yeah.
Right. So at that point in your business, it's like, maybe it's time to take the 10 deals, stack that away
hmm
because you never know. Next month might be 2 deals, might be
hmm
no deals.
Yeah.
Rates shoot up to 8%. Whoa, hold on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you got to pivot. Well, at least you got money in the bank. So you're like,
Yeah.
this is okay. I'm going to be fine, but I'm
Right.
still going to put in my effort. And
hmm
like you even said, like, man, it can burn in some money if you're going to do some internet
Yeah.
stuff. But if I had the capital to do it,
Yeah.
and that was my model, maybe I have to infuse more capital to really get after it because the market shifted.
Yeah. Exactly.
But you had to know your numbers,
hmm
know your finances, and have finances
hmm
in place to be able to deploy the capital or leverage assets like your TC.
hmm
So, where do you see your business going from here? Like 3 years, 5 years, even 10 years from now? Is it still you and a TC running and I have this certain amount of deals or something different?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I was gonna try to start doing some flips here and there, and I'm like, with recently adding the pay per click and some of the paid leads into my business, I'm like, I really want to take this all the way. So I'm gonna try to eventually tap into the luxury market, but right now, I'm happy where things are at, and I'm just trying to scale.
So, but
Uh,
when you think about scaling, is it just scale? So, is it just, hey, it's just going to be me solo with
mhm.
my TC? Is it, hey, eventually I'm going to hire a showing assistant or leverage a showing assistant?
For now, yeah, I have a lot to learn. So I'm in the point now where I'm reading a lot of books, watching a lot of YouTube again, and just trying to keep the mindset that look, I'm not, I'm not the best in the world, but I want to be, right? So never getting that genius effect where you think you know everything, and then all of a sudden it's like you went 3 months without a deal.
Always learning.
Yeah, you always have to learn, and the more you develop your skill set and you become more developed of an agent and a salesperson and a business owner, it's like the less you kind of have to do in a way.
Mm-hmm. Who other sources, like you mentioned YouTube a couple of times, so obviously we got Grant. Who else do you follow or watch that you like and get good information from?
I have a few mentors. I'll shout out, Brian Juris is my managing broker, so he's kind of taken me under his wing, and he's helped me out a lot. Chris Bowers I've networked with, and he really changed my perspective from thinking as just an agent to more of a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's helped me with my systems and everything, which is cool too, because we're not with the same brokerage.
He's great systems.
Yeah.
And he does share.
He's a really nice guy.
With any brokerage. Yeah.
Yeah. They gave me a lot of value. So thank you to those guys. And then, mentors. No, I mean, there's some bodybuilding ones I used to watch, the old school, like corny bodybuilding ones, Rich Piana and Greg, spacing out. I always watch his videos. I should know it. But the bodybuilder that died, his name's he was a motivational speaker. I keep wanting to say Greg Gale because you're the only Greg I know. Greg Plitt. So those two guys. But other than that, just sales videos. I want to start to do go to some of these paid masterminds and really invest in which I used to not believe in, and I think was fraudulent. And then you go to a few and you're like, oh God, I got tons of value. Like life-changing value. It's really, I don't even know how much I would have paid. I would have paid a ton of money for it. So it's really there's no number on it. And even if you just get one thing, I went to a mastermind one time. I didn't really learn anything, but I learned one thing from this agent that she was offering to go on the showings when it was her listing. I'm like, that's a great way to get a listing if you really, really want that listing that bad, because no other agent is going to offer that.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you just take one thing to add to your necklace of knowledge, I think it's worth it.
I agree. Well, and look, you sometimes go into events, it's an investment for you, right? It's an investment in my business. But there's other people that are investing in their business. So just the community of other people that end up going there might be a network that you hit it off with somebody, and might be some contact for down the road.
Yeah.
If it's a non-real estate one, like you go to a Grant one, and there's all these businesses with AC, HVAC, landscape, just entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
That you're just meeting all those people. But then you're also working on your business that you're for sure going to get a couple nuggets from. But I always remember that other people are paying to be here too. So these people have the money to invest and the willingness to want to get better. So those are rooms that I want to be in.
100%.
Right. Now, back to the bodybuilding. Did you ever compete?
No, I never competed. Actually, what's funny is I signed up for my first show, and I wasn't taking real estate serious. I didn't know if I was going to make it in real estate or what I wanted to do. I kind of wanted to go back to car sales for a while. And so that year I was just really honestly just lifting a lot. I was on a strict diet, but I signed up for a local show. It was $300 or something. And then funny enough, I got into a bad car accident. I didn't have insurance, because I just left the dealership. I had my insurance to them. And so my back was all messed up. So I kind of just gave up on that. But honestly, I don't think I'll ever want to compete. I like the fun. I'm trying to get back into it. I work too much. I know that's a poor excuse, but I started to go back to the gym here recently, and
I think it's good for you.
Oh, it's great for your mental state. I mean, honestly, I'll go 3 months tunnel vision, and I'm not really paying attention to my physical shape, and then I'm dude, I'm jacked. but I go for your mental performance and keep staying sharp. Helps with depression, anxiety, all of it. You just feel great. Everyone is in a good mood when they leave the gym. You'll hold the door open. They're smiling. They say thanks, bro. It's not really like that anymore. When you go to Fry's or a grocery store or something, it's
people
just
have angry.
Well, yeah, but people are just always in a good mood from the gym. So there's something to be said about that, and I love it. And I've made all my friends from business or the gym. So, and a lot of times they're both. They're business owners and they go to the gym. So of course.
It's one of my favorite places to network with people because, again, you have other people that are going with a similar mission. I want to feel better. I want to get healthy. I want to be more fit. I want a mental break. And then you see especially the regulars, So if you go in at the same time all the time, you see the regulars,
I
right?
know.
So there might be 100 people in the gym, but there's
Yeah.
15 that you're like, hey, oh, he's back. Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, it's,
And then over time,
yeah.
3, 4, 5 months or whatever, I keep seeing you there.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Hey, what do you do? It's a great networking
Oh,
opportunity,
huge networking.
but they're of the same mindset,
Yeah, I
right?
know.
So you're already on the same page when you go to
Mhm.
meet people. There's a commonality there because we're both here at the gym at 4:30, 5 in the morning,
Yeah.
or whenever we go.
We're both on
That
the pursuit of greatness. We're both trying to
yeah.
better ourselves, so we already have a lot in common.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And then maybe there's some business to be
Yeah.
had there. And it could be
Oh,
I
for
can
sure.
refer you, like I met the car detailer guy, that I can refer the car detailer to
Mhm.
people, right? It's more of what's in it for them, kind of like you said with your real estate
Mhm.
business. Like, man, what's in it for them? My psychology changed
Yeah.
to where, what's in it for the dealer? No, what's in it for the people that I'm here to serve?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's solid.
Yeah. And then you'll have conversations in the sauna sometimes too, which I know sounds weird, but then I've networked in the sauna.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, so made some great friends from the gym over the last 10 years or so.
Do you have any specific goals outside of real estate? Like maybe it's fitness, maybe it's real estate, meaning like your own purchases or portfolio, or other goals in other areas of life?
Honestly, people are going to judge me when I say this. I want to have nice tailored suits. I want to be jacked. I want to be rich. I want to have a really nice house. So pretty much what every other guy wants, but I don't, I can't seem to find I don't like golf. And anytime, and it's kind of unhealthy, but anytime I try to do something like I go golf, or I'm just doing something on the weekends, I'm like, dude, I'd rather be working. So it's kind of almost unhealthy. It's good and bad, but I'm a firm believer like working on the weekends, at least part of the day.
Well, your industry is work on the weekends,
and you have to,
too.
yeah,
But I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But again, your hobby can be,
Yeah.
I want to work out, and my
Yeah.
hobby can be, I'm pursuing wealth,
Oh, for sure.
right? Which,
I love that.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, you're the first person that said that. Everyone else is like, oh, you need to get a hobby. Yeah, well,
I have one.
I kind of have one. I mean,
I have one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you articulate your hobbies to be?
Yeah.
Working out,
Mm-hmm.
real estate, self
Yeah.
improvement,
Exactly.
right? And then
Self-improvement.
accumulating wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you financially, as you look forward, right, accumulating wealth, is it, hey, I'm just going all in, I'm going to accumulate through real estate? Are you doing anything else like, I'm going to do crypto, I'm going to do stock market, I'm going to do ETF? Like,
Yeah.
are you anywhere else, or want to be anywhere else?
Yeah, great question. Definitely gonna get into flips at some point. I don't want to get sidetracked right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get as focused as I was like back this last September. So I'm like,
What would get you back to that level of focus?
honestly, just habits, right? So just waking up at the right time, having those hours I stick to, not even, but being like,
What distracts you now from doing that?
oh, great question. I don't have a good answer, Everything is an excuse because you could always go to work tired, sick, depressed. I know that sounds bad and unhealthy, but you can always, go to work. There's really never ever excuses, right? So, no, that's
Well,
a great question, but I think I have a good answer. I really do think my lack of being in the gym as consistent as I should be carries over to my discipline in work, because I'm disciplining in myself, especially when I'm hitting legs or I'm doing something I don't like in the gym. I'm putting myself through a positive pain. When I go to work, it's hard to do that positive pain. Sometimes it's hard to make those calls, or it's not that it's hard; it's that you don't want to, or that then you look at the clock and then it's 3 or 4, and then you have a showing and you could have been prospecting before your showing.
Yep.
So it's really about being consistent and discipline, and taking those high actions day in and day out,
But see,
even when
that's
you don't feel like it.
Right. But see, that's your thing. Like, so
Yeah.
for me, I like the reason I knew that was the answer was because that's my answer.
Yeah,
Because
of course.
I the same thing of like,
Mhm.
I was just talking with another buddy, Zach, and we were like, dude, I'm totally out of my rhythm.
Right.
I've gotten out of my rhythm, and that's the one thing that I need to get back at, because that is the catalyst for all the other things.
Yeah.
For me, other people, it's something totally different.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's that.
Yeah.
So when you get back into your rhythm of,
Right.
are you a morning, afternoon, or evening workouter?
And that's the problem too.
When you
Sometimes
were in
on
your
mornings,
prime,
and
like
then it's really changed. But interestingly enough, it always used to be when I was like as hungry as I used to be, it was at night.
Okay.
And then, the problem with that is then like your adrenaline and your endorphins get going, and then sometimes you don't get the best quality sleep. I could never do mornings for some reason, but I was always able to do like 11 or 12. But then that's always like that awkward period in the day you can't just cut out to like go to the gym, or you could, but
Well, it's funny because I have multiple, right? So I have the ones where like me, I get up, I beat the kids up. So I get up, I go to the gym, I come home. Now the kids are starting to get up. I can do the stuff around the house and then take one to school. And my wife takes the other one.
Great role model.
So I'm the morning one, right? Now I have another buddy who gets up early. He starts working. Now he's like a little bit of internet, send this email, do some paperwork, whatever. Then he makes calls at about 10 o'clock. He's out, goes to the gym, does jujitsu, showers up, comes back, and then finishes the day. He goes, dude, he's like, it's like I have 2 days. I slam out the first part of the day, like super focused, because he knows he's going to have a break. Then he gets the break. He comes back all refreshed and then drives the rest of the day and then leaves and has time with his family. Then I have the other guy who's like, dude, I plow all day. I get a good night's sleep. I sleep in, have a good breakfast, hang with my kids, take them to school. I work my full day, and then I have a transition. So before I go home, all tired from my day, I go to the gym, I get my workout in, I get done, I have my endorphins, I get home, I'm like a different person. I'm not bringing my work home because I just left my work at the gym.
Yeah.
And now he's coming home to his family, a fresh guy. So all three work. It's just what's works for you. Yeah. Sometimes it's schedule dependent. Like
you got to systemize it. It's I think about this all the time. Even at something as simple as like your meals and dry cleaning and stuff, you really got to like systemize your week and your life. Because you could just put so much more time back in your day and your week if you just think things through and kind of rearrange them a little bit.
Well, think about this: if you could have it, so you just imagine, right? You got a good night's sleep, so you wake up, and then you have in your gym bags right by the door, your keys, your coffee's automatically made. You can smell it as you wake up, right? You grab it, you go to the gym, you come back, your clothes are laid out for work.
Right.
So you take a shower, you get out, you grab your stuff, you go to work, you got your call list right there. You got your things that you're going to do, like all in a little checklist format. You open up your fridge and your meal's already prepped.
Yeah.
It's right there. I go, there's my snack.
Yeah.
I do a little bit more work, following my schedule. The bell rings, I'm done for the day. I'm like, okay, I drive home, my meal's ready, it's ready, prepared, right? I have my stuff ready. It's like, if that was like the perfect day, right?
Yeah.
If that was how it went and you left less things to decisions, what would our lives look like? Like you could knock everything down. What happens is you don't get the good night's sleep. You kind of wake up, you're a little groggy. You're like, I'm not even going to go today. I get to the gym. Then I already feel guilty that I didn't go. I get to work. I don't have my list prepared. I'm like, what am I doing today? It's already the day and you don't even know what you're doing. You didn't even have a plan. And now you're just kind of like, I don't know, winging it. You're like, what do I eat? Let's just go to the cafe. Let's eat this thing. It's made with a bunch of oil. It's got some. I'll get the fries today.
Yeah.
It's just I just don't. Or I skip a meal and then my metabolism slows down.
Yeah. When you don't get good sleep, you just kind of eat whatever.
It just snowballs, right? So which day would you like? The one that's planned. Your choices are made for you the day before. Like you chose it. Like if you and I had a meal prep service, used to have the Sunfair, the little green bag dropped at my house every single night.
Love that.
It was the best. I'd wake up and it's like breakfast at this time, snack at this time. And it was perfectly portioned out, made for me and my metabolism. And it was like, it was one major decision that didn't have to happen 6 times a day. That's 3 meals, 3 snacks.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I did the meal prep too.
Yeah. Because when you take that decision out, it leaves me to make the other decisions that are, hey, I got to make these phone calls. And then when you're on the call, you're even more in flow with the call.
Yeah. I know. It's crazy how you like write something down. It just, you don't even have to think about it. Especially, I love the fact that they even give you the time to eat it.
It's like one less decision to make.
It's crazy. Yeah. That's why you have like all these like top CEOs that just wear like these $10 shirts from Walmart every day, all the same color.
The black t-shirt.
Or just whatever, because they don't have that that extra decision making power to give up.
Well, Steve Jobs,
Musk,
Gates, Musk, Gary Keller, they all say it's one less decision they have to make.
People already know they're rich, so it's like we don't have to wear suits. Like,
True.
people know when you get to that like iconic status. But
Well, for you and I though too, it's like when someone rolls up to the dealership, if
yeah.
they saw you sitting there in a $5 Walmart black
Oh,
T-shirt,
sure.
one less decision you had to make, and they
Yeah.
see me and I'm in my suit,
Right.
vest, whatever. They're like, I want to talk to the professional guy. Does that
Oh,
guy
of
even work
course.
here? Is he in the service department?
Yeah.
So sometimes there's the hey, I got to wear this, right?
Yeah.
But the decision of you have your, like you said, I want my tailored suits, I
Right,
want to
right.
be jacked. Great. So the suit's ready, and that is also your uniform.
Mm-hmm.
So how much better are your calls? You had this happen. You worked
Well,
from home for a
self-respect,
couple
too.
weeks, and
Oh,
you were
yeah,
like,
I
you're
hated
working
it.
from home. You're like, dude, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm out of my flow.
Yeah.
I need to be around other people. I need to suit up for the game.
Yeah.
I'm not getting in my suit to sit in my chair to call
Yeah.
from my house.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I got a $3,500 apartment to work from home, and ended up hated every second of it. So
Rent space at your own office.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, dude, this was awesome, bro.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time.
Absolutely,
We'll definitely
man.
do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, bro.